Alright, so the head is a very large area to cover, so let's zoom in and I'll show you my little trick for getting an even coat of paint on the head. Okay, again, I'm going to make sure that I have enough paint to work with. I mean, the head is bigger than you think it is. It takes a lot more paint than you would expect, and it definitely takes significantly more paint than the limbs because it's a really big, large area. Big round area. So this is what I like to do, and I learned this from doing the African American and biracial dolls where, you know, time is of the essence. Like, you really can't afford for one set to dry while the other is still being applied. You've got to work really fast. So because heads are so big, what I like to do is hit the important parts first. And by that, I mean I'm going to start off with the eyelid and try to get inside that eyelid. You don't want any blank vinyl framing your eyes. Get all up in the nose, get all these creases, get the mouth and the chin and the double chin. We're going to get all along this jaw and neckline. We're going to get these ears, get all up in the ears, get behind the ears. And we're gonna get the other ear. Okay, so now I blotted all the important parts. I'm gonna get some paint on my cheap sponge and I'm gonna connect these areas. So I'm gonna blend it out from the eyes, I'm gonna blend it out from the mouth, try to get it into the neck. And one thing you'll notice is that I'm stopping where the hair is gonna start. So fortunately this is not a bald baby, so I'm going to have a hairline, and that hairline is going to cover any inconsistencies in the painting. Sometimes I'll even go all the way around the back of the neck, right? So this is basically paint everything that's not under the hair. So face up to some part of the head, and what I've left out is this whole back of the head area. Why? Because I don't have time to do all of that before the paint's going to start to dry. I don't want the paint to start drying on my face, and I don't want the paint to start drying on the back of my head either, so I'm going to do it in 2 steps. Notice also that as I'm blotting, I start at the center of the face and work my way out. Again, for the African American dolls, this is key because it is very hard to get an even complexion when you're working with darker skin tones. So you need to apply the paint as evenly as possible. So I start at the nose, work my way back to the ears, start under the eyes, work my way back to the temple. So I'm always going in an outward motion from the center of the face. And this blends it really nicely into those areas that I haven't painted yet. So getting around the ears too, because that's going to be exposed when the hair is at it. Okay, so what I'm seeing right now looks good. I'm happy with my little pin prick, or whatever they call it, texture. So as you can see, I've got a lot of paint in the eyelid. So I'm going to take my nice long mop brush and very gently buff those out. The motion that I'm doing is I'm taking the very end of the brush, which is soft and fine. I'm going right into that crease and very gently dragging the paint out of it. So I'm actually kind of pushing the paint away from the crease. And this is a very, very gentle movement. And as I said, I really like this brush for the Reborn kits because it can get deep, deep, deep down into those creases and pull that paint out, which is going to be very important for us to do. So you can see the difference between the eye that I blotted and the eye that I didn't blot. I don't want this stuff to dry up on me, so I'm going to stop talking and finish dabbing the paint out. You really don't want any paint to accumulate in your creases, and especially not the flesh tones, because it's going to turn white and chalky, and that's just bad. Dab it out of the nostrils here. BTW, I don't hollow my nostrils. On most doll kits, they're so deep anyway that by the time you've darkened them, they already look like they go a mile into a doll's head. On top of that, some collectors wash their dolls. And an open nostril is a way for water to get trapped inside the head. And if water gets trapped inside the head, then mold can begin to form, and that's gross. We don't want that to happen. So that is the second reason why I do not hollow out the nostrils. And because all good points come in threes, the final reason why I don't hollow out the nostrils is because it's very, very easy to cut other parts of the doll with the tool that you use to do the hollowing. So I've used very small drill bits, I've used the Dremel tool. Anything that's sharp enough to bore a hole is going to be sharp enough to cut everything else that's around it. And I have one doll in my Boo Boo collection right now who's there because he ended up on the wrong end of the Dremel tool, and now he has a big scar right on his lip. So it's very difficult to do it right. It's kind of unnecessary. And it can be dangerous if the doll gets wet. That is why I do not hollow out the nostrils. Okay, so my face area, you can see it's already starting to dry. There's some matte spots on it. That's where the paint's dried and the solvent's evaporated. I feel good about how this looks. I'm gonna leave it like that. And now I'm gonna start from the crown of the head and do the same action. So I'm gonna lather on my paint on the area that I haven't painted yet, which is this under the hair section. And if you're feeling lazy, you could actually leave it like that, but I have very high quality standards, so I do not do lazy things. And it's the same idea. I'm starting at the crown and blending it down towards the stuff I already painted. And it just gives you a nice smooth texture. And I'm just looking at how this is coming off. It's gorgeous. Again, if your sponge is getting too wet, I mean, as you can see, I'm kind of wringing it out onto the napkin, which keeps the surface of it at least pretty dry. If your sponge gets too wet, you feel free to use another one. It's fine. These things are disposable. Okay, I'm gonna dab it to blend it around in the areas that I didn't paint and the areas that I did. I mean, you can really see how quickly the face is starting to dry, which is why I think it's super critical to do that on its own. Okay, I want to also look for anything that still seems to have too much paint in it. So these ears are looking a little shiny to me. So I'm going to go in and get that. If you have a really, really tight spot, you can also use a different brush, so it doesn't have to be a mop. Like maybe for inside the ears, I just want a long bristle, whatever this is. So I can really get down into those spots. It doesn't matter how many brushes you mess up. All that matters is that you get a gorgeous doll at the end of the day. Which is why, by the way, I have so many brushes. You never know what you're gonna need. So this looks good to me. I'm gonna let it dry. And in the meantime, let's check out that leg that we started with. So here's the first leg we painted. It's dry. I can tell that it's not actually completely dry. See that shiny spot? It's not dry yet. But parts of it are dry. And what I'm looking for before I would ever put this in the oven is I'm gonna look for an even texture. I'm going to especially look in those creases to make sure I don't have any chalkiness. And I'm going to give the whole limb a look over several times to make sure there's nothing weird going on. So this wet spot back here on the back of the leg is actually bothering me because it looks like something I forgot to blot. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that right now.